Most of the Fat Controller's engines accepted diesels, but James had still never liked them, and Bear the diesel engine was surprised by this. "We're really useful engines," protested Bear, "and mixed traffic engines, like you of course, James." "Mixed up engines, you mean," James grunted. "With windows at each end? How can you know if you're coming or going?" "Toby has 2 cabs," remarked Duck, "and he gets on all right." "Toby's just a little engine," scoffed James. "If an important engine like me didn't know which way to turn, what would the railway come to?" All the engines had agreed that James was becoming much too puffed up in his smoke box. He left the sheds, and later on, Oliver came in. "Making out as royalty or something," grumbled Gordon. "It's disgusting." "Who?" asked Oliver. "James," answered Gordon. "He has a bit of a prejudice against diesels, apparently." "That's no good then," replied Oliver. "Especially for Bear." "I knew an engine called King James," remarked Duck. "In the old days at Paddington. King James I he was, but he didn't swank about like that." "Ugh, don't be telling James that," pleaded Oliver. "It's even so as a misery be making our lives." "Exactly," agreed Bear. "But who's going to trim his wheels for him?" The engines tried all sorts of ideas, but nothing worked. James grew so conceited that the others were glad when he was away. Even the coders tweeted anxiously to each other, as if they thought James was to pull them one day. Later that day, James came to the shed fuming with rage. "Trucks?" he snorted. "Where are Duck and Oliver? They should be here for jobs like that." "They are working on the Little Western line," said his driver. James was cross, but he knew that really useful engines have to do as they are told. James's train had long trucks called well wagons. These had bogey wheels at each end with a slow section between them. They were used to carry cars, tractors and other heavy machinery. This should have been easy, but James was cross when he arrived, and bumped the trucks hard. "Oh! Oh! Oh! Oh!" they cried. Some of them set their brakes on to spite James, but James took no notice. The weather was damp and misty too, so releasing the brakes and on the trucks and getting James coupled up to them took some time. Because of the mist, the signalman often found it hard to see what was happening. James's driver told him that James would whistle when they were ready to go and were clear of the points. They were almost finished when suddenly James had heard a sharp whistle from another engine close by. The signalman heard it too and thought it was James saying he was ready. Soon, James was ready and he set off slowly. But then there was trouble. The signalman was about to pull the lever changing the points when the brake van went on the other line, but the trucks didn't. "Stop!" they shouted, but it was too late. "That's torn it," said James's driver. "The Fat Controller won't like that." And he didn't. He spoke severely about it, because the signal was important and its loss was inconvenient. James knew that the accident wasn't his fault, but when he arrived at the shed that evening, he was unusually quiet. The others were relieved. "I suppose it must be difficult to know which way to go when you have 2 cabs, whispered Duck. "But to go 2 ways at once with only 1 cab? That really is something." James pretended he hadn't heard.